This is no what I expected to do at 2 a.m., bro. This is like, man.
Fuck it, it's an adventure.
Alright, guys. Okay, welcome to the first ever. I don't know what to call this yet. Just fucking podcast, I guess. But, so today, I guess the main thing is we just want to talk about the editing community as a whole, how, it's kind of underrepresented, especially in other communities, and how we kind of there's a lot of different sub editing communities that don't really want anything to do with each other, it feels like. And yeah, it's kind of but yeah, we got you guys want to introduce yourselves, maybe from left to right?
All right, Teeth, you can go first, bro.
Okay, yeah.
I can go first? Oh,
Yeah,
fuck.
Teeth can go first.
Alright, what's poppin'? I'm Teeth. I've done AMVs for about 5 years, but I've kind of stopped doing AMVs to do more 3D and animation works. I've been a part of Trashgang for 4 years, I think. So we've been around the block there. Not very well known in the community. I've kind of just like lurked, just learned my shit, but hey, we chillin'. That's me.
all right. Okay, he's going.
All right. Yeah, my name is Kyoshia. I've been editing for 6 years.
Sure.
Similar to Teeth, I was basically lurking until I decided to open an Instagram, and then I became a moderately popular person in this like niche. Yeah, that's it.
All right, a bit. Okay.
Alright, it's my turn, right? Alright, my name is Caleb. I go by H6 I host a big, well, I wouldn't say big, but I host a smaller community called Lounge 6. And my plan is to at least make it grow exponentially, so that way the whole community of editing grow.
All right. Okay. So I guess we're just gonna start with
your introduction.
Oh no, I'm gonna do. Oh fuck, right, true. I should do it here, shouldn't I? I was gonna do it like pre-recorded.
Yeah, you in the hot tub, bro. Like, what's up?
Yeah. All right. So yo, it's me. My name's Blank, and I am relatively new to this community. Actually, probably only been here for about one and a half years, and I don't know. I guess I'm kind of a lurker in this community as well. I'm not really that well known because I don't post that many things or anything. But I've been, just looking at. I know, people from other communities, and especially outside of like streaming and in the streaming community and stuff, and esports and all that, and I just kind of like seeing how editing is not really great, and how like I realized one day that everyone in our community is actually really talented in editing, and it's kind of crazy. So yeah, that's why we're doing this podcast today. So yeah.
Let's go, baby.
The jump is crazy. The jump is insane.
All right, I guess what I kind of want to start with is do you guys think that we are kind of like underrepresented, or like you feel like there's a lot of hidden like talent?
I agree a lot. I think the editing community it's kind of like on a grand scale, it's very big. You have stuff like TikTok will have like millions of views. It's like generally known in just like the internet as a subculture, but in terms of like actual editing, well, I don't want to say actual editing because like it invalidates like 80% of people, but in terms of like people that like try very hard, is they like you never see that really represented in the mainstream that is the niche that is editing, you know. So
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and obviously, you have those guys on TikTok, and they work really hard for what they do. But it's just like sometimes I feel like we know a lot of people who are really good, but are they don't get the recognition at all, and it's just kind of like it's always it always feels like the really good people get a lot less attention than some of the more average editors, I guess, especially on TikTok, I guess. But like the TikTok editing community, honestly, I don't know too much about that side of things, but
well, I think the reasons like that is because social media platforms, the way like algorithms work, it is sort of like you're going against the grain if you spend weeks or months making a single video, you know. That's kind of like the easier it is to produce, how to describe this, if your content is easier to produce and takes less time and you can put out more of it, you're just generally more likely to do well, you know. That's why you see pages that post like multiple times a day do well. And it's kind of like, and funny you say that, is that on a grand scale we see that generally in editing, that there's a lot of people that will put in lots of work and not get any recognition. And even in our own like small niche, we can see that like sort of trend echoed as well, where like the more popular people, even on like what people would consider the good side of editing, are people that still generally will take less time and will not put in as much effort, you know.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah. I also think it comes to like general appeal when it comes to AMVs, right? Because like we all seen those like Naruto versus Sasuke over Suicide Boys that have like 10 million views, right? I mean, shit, that's how I got into editing, and that just appeals, just its basis appeals to a much bigger audience than just editing as a whole. Because you can sit like someone down that like enjoys AMVs but doesn't edit them at all, and they can understand like what's a good edit, just like off the effects. Like let's say Kyoshia makes something, right? They recognize it as being good, but they don't know why it's good, so they can't appreciate it fully. So they kind of lump together, like say, something that Kyoshia makes versus some editor makes on like iMovie, right? Like they kind of lump them in the same thing because they don't know what makes something good. Because they just like Suicide Boys and they like Naruto.
Yeah, true. Yeah, that's actually
of, like, AMV viewers.
Yeah.
That's true. But I have something in response to that.
Okay, all right.
So like, this question gets floated around a lot. We sort of have a back and forth like once in a while. But my question is, so the average edit viewer, can't really tell the difference between what is good and what isn't. But in other creative communities like animation, art, there seems to be just a general like higher standard for the, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah, now that you mention it, that's true. 100%. Yeah. And like,
so what is? Yeah,
it's like easier. I think it's even easier for people to tell when it's a good animation, when it's good art compared to editing.
I think it's because editing is almost like an additive on top of already something good, right? So when you take like a fight from like Jujutsu Kaisen, which has god tier animation, right? Like almost no matter how you cut it, the video is going to look good because just off the basis of animation. So what we're doing is just enhancing something that is already good, right? So I feel like that's, or at least like in the general eye, that's why it's not very easy to tell if, like just from an average viewer, if an edit is good or not, right? Unless it's just like
that's fair.
That's true. I mean, like that's why I think it's it's a lot easier if you're, for example, a MoGraph editor, or you're a manga like style editor, stuff like that, or you're like a video game editor, I guess. It's easier to recognize because more mainstream people can tell that it's been edited Now sometimes like you have like an AMV
Right,
and
yeah.
people don't know, people don't even know it's edited. They're just like, oh, it's just some cuts. But it's like, you know, a lot easier.
I know it's.
Yeah, keep go on.
Nah, you're good.
No,
I was just gonna say, especially nowadays when a lot of people are doing like 3D aspects and people are going into Blender and stuff. Even then, like when before it wasn't really as popular, not a lot of people knew that they added those specific scenes and they created them because they thought it was mainly for the anime. You know what I mean? So it's not like necessarily kind of how like Pete was saying how it doesn't really get represented as to so-called like, oh, we created a whole brand new thing. We're kind of at the same time adding stuff on, and it really doesn't get appreciated.
Yeah, those things are
Yeah, no,
you know,
100%.
less additive, I guess, as Teeth was saying.
And
Okay.
I think it's also. Oh, sorry. What's up?
No, I was just gonna say, I understand that, AMVs are essentially enhance the original source material, but then what about flips of music, Because flips of music essentially do the same thing, but again, they're not like, you know what I mean? They're not.
Oh yeah, they're
The
not.
average standard isn't as low as it is relative. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I yet to know why editing is so unique in that aspect.
I
That's
think
true
for that
as well.
example, like exactly, it's just because literally everyone on the planet likes music, right? So everyone can kind of just listen to a song and tell if it's good or not, right? Because like a lot of those like flips, like you said, in their niche, they can be absolute dog shit, right? Like with mixing and shit. But like if they have like a good foundation off the base song, it'll still be good. Kind of like AMVs, how like an AMV can be dog shit edited, but still be well received by the wide population because it has a good baseline. So I'd argue those are pretty similar. But it's just harder to tell. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly.
Also when it comes, oh yeah, you can go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, honestly, people on TikTok, I swear when they see people use like Twixer or something, when they see a warp, they think it's a good thing, and they're like, "Yo, that shit's edited, bro. Great job." It's like, and then like when you see someone who's used Twixer and there's no warps, they don't see any warps. They don't know it's edited at all. So it's like they think that technically the worst one is better because you can see the warps and they can tell it's edited. That's especially for like video game edits. I don't know if you guys been on TikTok recently or like even look at Valorant stuff. Probably not, eh?
Oh no.
Oh, the Valorant.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah. Also, something that I guess I forgot to mention during the introduction that might be relevant is that I found about the editing community via editing video games. So like my first exposure to editing, like seriously, was T3C. There's a really big disconnect between COD and anime in terms of like standards, which is also interesting.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, Shizuka, right? Shizuka Artistry on Twitter.
Shizuka Artistry.
Yeah, those guys like pretty cracked, but I guess the moves just pops off.
Yeah, again, it's like mass appeal, that's what just generally like appeals to most people.
Yeah, I
guess,
don't know.
Yeah.
But it's like, even when you see, esports organizations, they have their literal like reveal trailers for like their new roster or something, or it's like for an announcement, and you look at the montages, and the 3D in their editing, and it's like, it's really just like, I don't want to say amateur. I guess it's amateur. I don't know. It's like
subpar.
Yeah, subpar. I guess that's the word for it. Yeah, and then you look at just some like anyone from like, like for example, like you probably know Vase, right? Do you know Vase?
No Vase, yeah.
Yeah, like his 3D is fucking way more, well done than some of those esports videos, which I feel like it's just such a shame. Like, imagine if they kind of knew about people like Vase, they could have paid probably the same amount of money for something that's just way better, and it could like just raise their standard of media in general and like aesthetics and everything. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but you have to come to realize though, I mean, we say like standard of media, but you know, at the end of the day, if you're not really necessarily an editor or you know someone that looks for the art aspect of you know like a specific, let's say like a gaming trailer or maybe not even a trailer, just you know a gaming highlight, they don't necessarily look for the quality, they just know that it brings views, you know what I mean? So it's like
Yeah.
it slowly just becomes around like especially when it comes to COD and you know Valorant and stuff. A lot of people nowadays they just look at you know the clip themselves, the player, and not really necessarily like the editor of which they do it. So the editor can just do whatever they want, and you know they just get money and they get paid just the same way as anybody else. So I don't know.
Yeah, but I'd say like for like something like a reveal, roster reveal, the 3D, I think that part is definitely like, I feel like people can definitely tell when it's good or bad. Because when it's bad, it's like yeah,
they can tell, but having like been there for all the reveals since like, because I've been following Valorant since it came out and stuff like that, it's like a good example. So in the first, before all like the teams revealed rosters and stuff, before the tier 1 orgs did that, Liquid, I want to say the team Liquid Valorant montage made by Thiago, the guy who founded TDC,
yep,
was like one of the first ones to come out, and that is, have you seen it?
I think I have, yeah.
Yeah, goes hard.
With loads of 3D. So that came out,
Yeah.
and and at the time people were saying, oh, it's gonna set a high benchmark for Valorant, related content, and that is not the case. I think it's kind of like at the end of the day, if you're like sitting on one of these, well, I don't think they have boards, but if you're in these Discord meeting calls as part of management, you have some sort of budget, like, are you gonna spend the extra like 1,000 to hire someone that is really competent for like 10 people to say, wow, this video is cool, or are you gonna get someone that doesn't necessarily know what they're doing?
True.
It's kind of at the end of the day.
I think
but I have a question
comes down
actually.
to connections.
Yeah, that
especially
definitely
in
plays
the
a big role.
esports scene. It's a lot about connections, because I've been in the esports scene. I was like, I was in the Overwatch esports scene for like a long ass time, and just talking to the editors and the 3D editors that are in that, they just don't talk to enough people, and the people that like do get picked up are more well known in the industry or have a degree in some aspect. I think a large part of why a lot of these good editors that charge the exact same rates is because no one knows about them. They don't have a good enough portfolio, because a lot of editors don't have a like straight down portfolio that they can just send to someone with their best work and just everything on it. Because that's really what these people are looking for. They're not looking for like, this guy did this shot really well and we like him for that, like he did like some really cool smoke simulation. They don't see that. They just want to spend 6 seconds looking at portfolio and telling if you can do the job or not. That's all they care about. They don't really care about how you get it done. They just want to get the job.
Yeah, true.
So all this it's
very, very corporate stuff.
And that's why a lot of people that go to school get these kind of jobs, because a lot of people that go to school, it doesn't make them a good editor, but they have the credentials to do it, kind of thing.
That's the thing,
it's
though.
kind of like just a job application, right?
Yeah.
Because, you're applying and you're giving them your resume, right? Your portfolio, seeing what they can do. You've been to school for it, but I mean, whether that or not that makes you a good editor, I mean, it really doesn't matter, right? It just depends on your experience, depends on certain topics, and you have proof of knowing those certain topics.
That's the thing, though. Like, I think recently at least, people have been looking on things like Twitter, TikTok as well. I guess more Twitter, as sort of like almost your Twitter profile and stuff, and your links in there are almost like a makeshift kind of like portfolio, pretty much. And like sometimes it's just like artists, like the art industry, how they're pretty much all most of the time found through something like Twitter, and they would get like a Twitter DM for like commissions, or like they get a Twitter DM for like some kind of job for like whatever it is, whatever org or anything. And it is like definitely, like Teeth said, 100% like connections is like so important in that kind of aspect, because you just get someone to vouch for you, and then that's it. That's all they need.
Yo, I have a question for you guys. Can I ask a question?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. How do you guys feel just generally, not like the broad end of community, but just like where our like niche? How do you feel about that, and how do you feel about like I guess the quality and how things are going moving forward?
Just the standard of it.
Yeah, just generally, like your just thoughts on it as a whole, as of right now.
I think in my point of view, when I look back at, even though I wasn't there, 2016, through like, I want to say 2018, 2019-ish, I feel like it was going at maybe, when it comes to other people's opinions, in my opinion, it was going at a steady rate, I think nowadays, though, when a lot of people are getting, I guess bigger names for themselves regarding like, the algorithm, and, different people want to copy different other, styles and whatnot. Yeah, that's kind of, brought down the creativity of it. But I feel like, realistically, I think the standard is overall day by day is kind of increasing, because even though regardless if you don't have the creativity as others, I feel like the execution of the edits and, just overall the quality of them are kind of, increasingly going up there, because everybody's, is still learning. And I guess the new generation as it is now, they're kind of, I wouldn't say everybody's, picking up to like the experience, like 5-6+ year editors, but at the same time, they're still at least, evolving even more. I feel like for the future though, regarding the creativity aspect, that's just something you have to have, and I think that just comes in due time.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that the standards have been pretty high.
Alright, what's up? Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, I think, at least from my point of view, I could just be wrong on this. What Apollo did with his mix was by far like the best thing to happen to like the more, I'd say like Instagram side of editing, in a long time. I feel like that boosts like his Yeet mix, right? I don't care if you like Yeet or not. That mix was fucking god tier. Like that shit just raised the standard for everyone. Like just everyone on it executed it so fucking well that I feel like it just raised the standard. Like I've made a personal AMV in like a goddamn like year or two, right? And just seeing that shit made me want to edit anime again. So I did, right? Like it was hype as fuck.
Right.
It was done really well over a long period of time. And I think we need more shit like that. More people to just raise the standard, just raise the bar. Because if no one really pushes that, then it's not gonna like, it's kind of just gonna flatline. Sure, people improve slowly over time because we're humans. That's what everyone does. But like having someone that like organizes these events, or just individually just gaps everyone else in terms of just raw skill, I think competition is what makes people improve, right? No one's gonna want to improve if there's no competition. That's why I think like shit like that really boosts the community as a whole.
Interesting. As wait, I don't know. Okay, so as you say that, yeah, it's like me personally, when it comes to competition and stuff like that, I'm a very competitive person. I take editing pretty seriously, and it's kind of like my experience with the community. I'm kind of pessimistic now because a lot has happened, and I like, for example, in January of this year, at the beginning of the year, I think I put on my Instagram story, the editing, man, is kind of lame as of right now, because generally people are editing the same music to the same anime over and over and over again. It's really fucking boring. I put it on my story, and I go into a back and forth with Apollo. Like, we're cool. We had like a public disagreement, and then like half of the entire community was on my neck. In that, like, my DMs were filled up for like the next 3 days. I was constantly getting spammed with stuff. like people like they were making memes about me and stuff like that, and it's like, you know, you say competition is good. I agree with you, but it's like, do editors on Instagram specifically want competition? You know?
Well,
That's a good
here's
point.
how I feel about the Instagram editing community. Like from what I've seen, I haven't been here for that long. It just sometimes feels like a kind of a clout fest, you know, especially with groups and stuff, units, you know, all that stuff. It's it's like people. There's probably a lot of people editing just purely for the fact of getting into a group with like a lot of followers.
Yeah.
That's
Why
about it.
is that a bad thing?
I guess it's
I don't
not,
necessarily
but
think
it's
that's a
like
bad thing, though.
it does like kind of like incentivize people to get better and stuff. But it's just a
I
little
disagree.
bit toxic sometimes. I don't know.
I actually disagree. I don't think.
Well, in
groups
terms of like
incentivize people to get
execution or something, someone would like, you know,
better.
like
I don't know. I think once, I think once like I don't know. I think once you get to a certain level on Instagram, which is like by no means bad, but it's like once you get to a certain level in just the way Instagram works and the communities around it, you're never incentivized to improve past that point. You know,
true.
you'll still,
Actually, yeah.
you'll still grow. You'll still get the same amount of followers. You're still gonna get the same comments, like, and then you know you're gonna really like take the time to try something new that may not work out, or like what I mean.
Yeah,
It's kinda
I
like
get you.
you get-
It's like
yeah.
once you reach a certain point where you're kind of satisfied, like people just get comfortable, and there's nothing really pushing them to be more creative or anything like that, I guess.
I don't think groups facilitate that because it's kind of like for a lot of people it's like you get into a group and then it's like, oh, I've done this, I don't really need to improve anymore. I have this badge on, and it's like
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I think in my standpoint, it kind of goes, two different ways, right? There are also, as you know, the big groups that have a lot of following. Let's say Midwinter, for example, that takes a lot of people's eye, because they have like 70,000 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
And, just big groups in general that are, relatively kind of the same way as Midwinter. I think the two different points of editors would be one, hey, I'm editing because of clout, or two, hey, I want to edit because I want to improve. And I think based on those groups, kind of they're split up into two different areas. And I guess in Raheem's standpoint, right, they're saying that they don't really necessarily want to improve, once they get in that clouded group, because all they gotta do is just get views now, right? But I think for the other editors that do want to improve, I think groups kind of do help them in a way too. It's like, since the standards are most definitely higher, and it most definitely gets them the boost to necessarily want to push higher.
What?
You say the standards are higher.
I think
That's
I-
yeah.
I'll give you an example.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you think Midwinter standards and Sweetboy standards are the same?
No.
Exactly. And why is that?
Why is that? Because they are two very different things. They edit, people in those, for like they're editing for two very different reasons.
Exactly. That's my point. That's a clouded group, and that's actual people that have that, means to improve and become, something greater and beyond.
I take a problem with that. You say the standards have improved. I think I get what you mean in terms of like people that try like really hard. The standards have definitely improved, like substantially. But I don't think the average edit from like has changed that much since 2016. To be honest, like that much. I don't think it's changed that much. Like I'll see edits come out today that could have come out on Vine.
Right.
Yeah.
How do you guys feel about selling project files, assets, and just stuff like that in general?
Sell them fuckers.
Yeah. Honestly, like, I think if you're really good, And
someone like
for example,
Teeth,
like if
right?
and you got like a 3D project file or something. I think that is really, I think it should be more kind of expensive, I guess. I don't know. I just feel like it's really invaluable stuff. Because you can see literally every single like little trick they have or they use to make something like that. And I mean, I guess like the editing community, it's there's a lot of kids in the editing community, right? Or in the Instagram one at least. And they just can't afford anything, right? But like most of the time now, I feel like people don't really. I don't know. Do you guys care like about if you're like how much people sell project files for and stuff?
I think it
No.
is completely person by person. Like,
Yeah.
project file selling is, it only helps. There's no downsides to it, right? The only
Yeah, yeah.
downside you could argue is that you didn't make the anime, right? That's the really only downside you could argue. But like, the editor gets paid for selling his project files, and the people who buy them get to learn.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've heard some people say it's like dog shit for the community, but really, the only people that are saying that are the people that have egos that don't want other people to catch up.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing.
Like,
Yeah,
you
true.
wouldn't want
It's like
people to sell it.
gatekeeping your stuff.
Yeah, no, it's just definition of gatekeeping is that shit.
I mean, like if you have something that's really unique to you, I can get why they feel that way. If it's like something that's unique, but it's not like something extremely like hard to execute, it's just something that is very original and that you thought of, and it's like if it's like kind of your thing and you post it, you use it a lot and stuff. I get it. Like you don't want other people to, it's like start oversaturating your style or anything. But like other than that,
like, don't get me wrong when I said what I just said. Like, I don't think everyone should sell their project files. If you have a style that you like and you don't want people to copy you, that's not ego. That's just pride in your work, right? If you're telling other people not to sell your project files, like I feel like that's a bit weird.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to project files, I've spoken, to a lot of people that have been around the community way before they even, had pay hips and whatnot, and they kind of necessarily told me that it kind of led to the downfall of what was like, expected in the community. Because one, I think project files are a good way to at least improve, I guess, your basics, right? To see how people did things and to maybe adjust it in your own work and to, make it your own. But at the end of the day, people think differently, right? People don't want to do that work sometimes, and people just instantly just copy it, just straight, exact, and they don't adjust it at all. And it makes it look, it's like kind of a slap in the face to like the editor that they kind of bought it from. No disrespect for the editor in general, but it's just like, oh, we've seen this already before, right? We know what's expected. This guy does the same exact thing, but yet, they're still getting that following. They're still getting that, attention, but not like, the original editor that did it. So
I think as someone that sells project files and sort of kind of falls into that category of people making stuff similar to them that was originally niche, I think at first I can't lie, like a little part of me is a little bit like, oh, I'm a bit like, a little bit, but at the same time, I think it kind of like puts my feet to the fire, right? In that I need to constantly improve, or I guess I know it kind of puts pressure on me to improve, which I think is a good thing, because if I don't improve, all like the people that make similar stuff from project files that I've sold, it'll kind of be like, oh, you know what I mean? You get what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think the same people that like just rip effects, just Control C, Control V onto their own edits, those are the same editors that like, I guess like they would post them on TikTok just for clout, right? Like they're not actually like a part of this community, or I guess like this niche of the community, right? They're still part of the AMV community, but they're trying to appeal to a different audience, right? Like they can recognize something that's good, but like the people that are in the community are going to realize that it's just been ripped, right? So they're not going to impress anyone with the effects because, like shit. You know how many like Crazy King effects I've seen just around the place? I know the real man. Like I know who does that. You're not it. Like people that like are in the community will know if something's ripped or not. So I think it's the same people that would just farm loop edits.
You know, you say people in the community know it's ripped, but I've seen a lot of people, including myself when I was like smaller, generally, like there would be people with like, you know, 5 times my following when I like, so like I would have like 1K followers, they would have like 6, 7K, and they would get like, you know, credit and stuff like that for things, you know, I would come up with, and it's kind of like, you know, I don't necessarily care, because, you know, I don't edit for clout, but it's like, I can understand why that would dissuade other people, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right, definitely, actually.
Yeah. Another thing about...
funny thing you mentioned, wait, sorry, just real quick. Funny thing you mentioned Crazy King. In fact, that like, there was like a big thing with someone like gaining massive followers, stealing, and also just like using Crazy King presets that they had like, you know, they had like pirated, and it's like, you know, stuff like that. Because Crazy King doesn't really have that presence on Instagram, so it's like stuff like that is like, it's like ripe for abuse, and it just happens all the time.
True, but I guess that also comes down to like people steal edits all the time, right? Where I guess that kind of falls into the same category. Like that's just something that happens. You kind of have to deal with it. You can report the account if you want, but that really doesn't do shit, right? It's hard, it's tricky to do, but yeah.
I mean, another thing about...
I think that...
And another thing about project files, I was going to say, is it's really good for learning... It's really good for new people to learn the basics with, I think. Like,
yeah, I agree.
The most simplest things, you know, scales, position, size, you know, shakes, especially shakes, I think they're really a lot easier to learn with someone's project file than just if you had nothing. So in that kind of sense, it's kind of like, it's really good for newer editors to be able to buy project files.
I think it depends, because there are a lot of people that I've seen that are newer, they'll slightly get inside in, and then they'll buy like a couple project files, and you see that like what they're doing like change significantly, right? But then at the same time, there seems to be like no, I guess you can kind of always tell when someone hasn't like come up with stuff themselves. And while it is good, don't get me wrong, it's actually a great thing that like people can obviously like improve like execution, do project files. There's a lot, and some people, you know, will take project files and they'll make it their own thing. You know, they'll incorporate it into what they're already doing, or they'll like learn and then go in their own direction. But you see a lot of people just kind of buy project files, get to the level of said project file, and then make the same edit over and over again.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I think overall, just concluding the whole project file situation. Wait, do I have a pillow on my hand?
What the fuck?
Wait, that's you.
What?
I was like, what?
That shit just spawned, bro.
Nah,
we're fucking
I think regarding the whole project file situation, though, it's I think it improves, and I guess it kind of creates our new generation, right? Because it, for one, I think back then when both of you guys were just getting started into editing, there weren't as many, I would say, references as to learning different techniques or learning different effects. But I guess now, as to where people do have the means to at least learn different things, I think overall, just regardless if they're necessarily copying something, I think it kind of just increases like the evolution of like, the overall editor. I mean, sometimes that can go, just depending on the specific person. But at the end of the day, if you have a project file that is, at least, significantly good compared to like, I would say maybe like a 2016 or 2015, project file, it'll be different, right? So I would just say that in that certain aspect, it kind of does make things for the better, but there are disadvantages as well.
Yeah,
Because people
I think
people wouldn't improve.
I think it's a double-edged sword actually, because while generally like the average person will have a easier time getting into editing and getting up to standards, you know, like the unique styles that we see that emerged in the first place kind of came from people having to experiment on their own to catch up, you know. Like I would say I was pretty bad up until like mid 2019, just relative to community standards. Like I was pretty mediocre for like a long time. I didn't buy a single product for once because I was young, and also my parents wouldn't be like, why the fuck are you spending money online? And it's kind of like,
right,
when you're forced to sort of make something relatively from scratch, right? It's kind of, that's where you get like uniqueness, and it kind of seems that with the proliferation of project files, some of that uniqueness has gone away.
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense though.
I think it comes down to a person by person basis, really. Because if a person wants to do something, and if they really want to do that something, they'll do it, right? I think the person that buys a project file, just uses the effects that they learn and just stay there, would have never been good on their own, of just learning everything from the bottom up, right? Because it's really the person that wants to evolve their style, evolve their just art form. It's not the same people that are buying project files. Or no, it's not the same people that sit on project files comfortably, that just use those project files and they don't try to explore out of that. Because like you or me, like I haven't brought a project file either, but not for the reason that I didn't feel like I knew it, just because I wanted to do something else, right? Where like I saw good edits, I wanted to get to them, but I also just wanted to do something else, right? And that's kind of where I dove into 3D and animation and all that shit. So I think it's two different markets that kind of target the same thing, which is project files.
Yeah, I was gonna ask because, so like, how like we're in like against like I guess essentially different generations of editing, right? You guys have been like starting like the last couple years. We've been around for like 5-6 years, right? How do you feel? Because it seems to be like a sort of generational disconnect, and it's like we'll have the people from like ages ago, the people like before Vine, people that like the best AMVs of all time, or like stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Old school stuff, they have like it's really different in what they like and what they do, right? Whereas now it's like it's completely different, and it seems like in other communities there's like the old school people and the new people, they'll always be in touch. You know what I mean? There's always some sort of like backlog or like record of what's happened. But it seems like now that the new people are completely disconnected. Like if you like what's a good example? Like I'm forgetting the name, but the one like I can name, like there are a couple edits that are like legendary and have been around for ages. Like the one with all that do all the flowing shit, or I think Loligajudge, I don't know how to say his name, but the guy that like figured out how to use Twixer properly. And it's like if I mention those names or those people or those edits to new people, they have literally no clue what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And it seems that like there's sort of, we've failed as a community, we've like kind of failed to preserve history, I guess, as like
yeah. I mean,
so
honestly,
like,
I don't know.
do you feel about
I don't know the guy that you meant, the second guy you mentioned at all. Like you said, the guy who you figured out how to use Twixer.
With a lot of, I'd say, old school editors that have been like around for like 12 plus years. And it's very, when they sit down to make an edit, it is completely different. Where effects are almost the last thing that come to mind, right? When they sit down, they don't sit down to make an edit, they sit down to make an AMV, right? So the clips and the pacing is the fundamentals. Like if you do not have good like storytelling skills, or just clip placement, like what clip goes where, it's nothing to them, right? Which is just like, that's what was popular back then. That's what was recognized as good, right? Good storytelling, because it was, I don't want to say all it was back then was just music over anime clips, but that was the big foundation of it. Where I'd say nowadays over Instagram, it's more of the effects enhancing the anime, not the anime enhancing the song, because that's what it was back then.
That's
so it's
true.
very
Yeah,
two
more
different
like a raw
perspectives on how it looked. Yeah. And like, don't get me wrong, I love me some raw anime edits, right?
Like what?
But it's just a very different like taste. Like it's almost like we're trying to look for something completely different than old school was.
Yeah. No, that's 100%. I feel the same way. Yeah.
It's not a good thing though, because I think we kind of lost something in chasing effects, you know.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think we do. Cause a lot of like Instagram editors will have god tier effects, god tier transitions. But if you take the clips and just leave them on their own, it's pretty bad, right? Like
Yeah.
one of my homies, MTX, he said like an AMV is based on like if you strip away everything, like all the effects, everything, all the flickers, and if it's still a good edit, then everything on top of that will just make it better, right? But you have to have a good foundation. I think that's what a lot of editors are like lacking nowadays, is a good foundation on like how to use certain clips and where, not just to complement the effects.
Yeah. That's kind of like,
That's
honestly,
very
it
well
makes a
said.
big difference in an edit. Like, just sometimes when you
100%.
can see, oh fuck, I keep falling over, bro. When you can see that there's like, kind of like storytelling going on, it's just a well kind of placed clips, I guess, and you can kind of like, it like everything makes sense one after the other, and it's like it flows. It makes the edit even like, even if the effects like, like independent of how well you execute the effects, it makes the whole edit just flow way better than if you just put some random like clips together and then things don't really, like, you go from like some guy like talking and then suddenly the next scene they're like fighting or some shit.
Right.
So I guess in this regard, I'm sort of like in the middle of, so like, you know, a good example, you know, Packer.
Yeah.
So like he, you know, despite being new, very much falls in on the traditional sort of like raw side in terms of pacing and storytelling. And you know, that's really great to see from someone that's new, and you know, that's why he has the reputation he has. And you know, I think that is sort of, it's like, I think it's on a spectrum, you know, between full storytelling, like, what's a good example? Like, what's the Avoid Eternal by Jazz Vids, right? Is like something that comes to mind when I think of like storytelling in AMVs. And then it's like on the complete other side of the spectrum is something like Two Alive, right? I think that on like it's on a spectrum, and that I think there's a place and should be a place for both of these things to coexist, and for people to be able to appreciate both, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. I think going back on what T said as well, though, you know, the whole raw, you know, aspect, that kind of correlates to how you were saying we didn't really preserve that, you know, I guess history in the community, because nowadays, you know, it's more based on effects, right? But I feel like, you know, since we went more towards effects, we kind of lost that creativity. So it kind of, you know, I would say balances, or at least weighs on one side than the other. I feel like if we would have at least went more on the aspect of, let's say, working on scene selection, you know, more, and then building up from there, you know, who knows what the community would look like now, you know? So.
Mm-hmm. Also, quick thing. So like I'm a, like, you know, like anime. Like, so like
I know anime.
You know, other people call me like a massive.
Word.
Yeah, okay. Other people call me like a massive weeb, right? Because like, you know, I'll talk about anime. I like anime and I edit anime, and it feels like, from my perspective, that a lot of anime editors don't. It's kind of weird, because you know, we see the same like dozen shows edited, which is really strange considering that 20 shows come out every 4 months, and that there are, you know, thousands and thousands of shows you can edit. Like, how do you feel about that?
I guess they don't really relate to the anime as much as like others. I think it's just the relationship towards them, and just watching the anime can just be seen as, oh, these are just new clips I can edit. While another more experienced editor would be like, oh, like this is the emotion that was told in this scene, or like they most definitely, I guess, make it seem like they more rely on the plot of the actual anime more so than the actual like clips themselves. You know, it's just like it kind of scratches the surface of like how much storytelling that goes into like the shows that we watch, and depending on like how different perspectives look at it, you know, it can go a long way as to like editing it. You know, I guess that's why we got like the different, I guess, standards and levels of like editors today, because they don't really relate to like the same things that other people watch.
Yeah, but you know, how does so like let's say you're an action editor, right? Even within that sort of niche, you know, you'll have people that, you know, they only edit shonen shows, and it's like, you know, that's cool, right? But it's like, you know, you never see Yu Yu Hakusho or like, you know, anything that is different, which is really strange, you know? Don't you think? I don't know, it's just a bit weird that, like,
honestly, it's just like
if
people are lazy. They don't want to look through new clips to find the good scenes. They just want to know these are the good scenes that are in this anime. I'm gonna take all of them and make it edit. Because like, you know, cutting clips and all that, cutting clips is takes a long time, honestly. It's like the hardest part about, well, for me at least, it's the hardest part about starting a new edit is cutting the clips and like finding the scenes that you want to do, you know, putting them in kind of like semi chronological order or whatever, or like in the order you want to edit. And I think that's why people edit the same show. Like that's one of the reasons why, at least, is just because they're lazy to cut new clips.
I don't know.
I think it falls into like meta, something new, right? Because like when I'm watching like an anime for the first time, like an edit could just randomly pop into my head, right? And I like, oh, that'd be cool, right? With a lot of new shows, that happens to a lot of people because it's something new, it's something fresh, it's something they've never seen before. So their mind can kind of like go wild with ideas, right? But then there also is like, you know, popular anime, it's gonna get a lot of views. I'm gonna edit this because it's meta. Like that's also like, like a very normal, and I don't think a bad thing to do, really. Like something's new, yeah, I'll hop on it. Sounds fun, right? But then there are also people that only edit like certain animes and don't. I think it's kind of like the same, I guess, like same people who edit like their own group of animes don't really deviate outside of that. But then the people who like to edit a lot of different animes will hop on a lot of new animes just because it's fun, interesting, something new.
That's true. But considering, like, you know, I guess for like this side, I guess Instagram, I would say is like, honestly, probably like, I don't know, my estimate is probably gonna be wrong, but I'd say like probably 50,000 people that I would say is in like the circle of Instagram and like / YouTube editing, right? That are actively editing. I would say that like for that many people, how homogenous it is really strange. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I get that, you know, they're new anime and you know, it's not, I'm not saying it's like a bad thing. It's just a bit, I don't know, it's like the lack of variety, you know, when there's so much choice and option is, I don't know, it kind of rubs me the wrong way, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes I think about that as well, but like in my own head, I kind of just like boil it down to most people, you said like, you know, whatever, we'll just use 50,000, right? Most of those people are kind of like not really, they're just like following following what's popular, that's it. And then they just kind of want to do something that they know is good already, and you know, there's not many like people like that actually, the people that actually want to like go out of their way to make something new, something original. I think that everyone to a certain extent wants to make something original, but there's not a lot of people that actually want to start something from scratch, you know.
that's understandable. But okay, and then another thing as well. I don't know, you know, like music, right?
Yeah, I know
So
music.
like we why do we all edit the same music? Why do we all edit the same music? It's kind of strange as well. If you know what I mean? It's like
Oh, yeah.
as a community, you know, all these different people from like different places all around the world, and somehow we end up with like the same song getting edited
The
like
same
200
songs,
times.
Yeah.
They're like the
that's
same
kinda
song
weird,
with the
yeah.
same anime. It's like what the
Yeah.
fuck? I don't know.
You
I
could say
mean-
people inspire others because you know that goes based on the algorithm, right? But I mean, I don't know. It is still a mystery, bro. I don't know. Like I really love music. I think I experience, you know, just going into different avenues of different genres of music, like, you know, very frequently. But just to see, you know, like just the same, at least, even in just the different general styles, having the same songs and same like repeated artists played over and over again,
Mhm.
it's kind of like it's just I don't know, it's just irritating because it's like there's so many other artists that are like underrated, but their music is very good, you know. But
Yeah.
not a lot of people see that, and they don't really. You can go.
Yeah,
keep going, Jacob.
I had a question. Yeah, are you talking about like music metas or like individual songs? Like let's say like Yeet right now versus like some random song on SoundCloud that has like 2,000 plays, or like
I
that like a bunch of
think-
people have used.
Like, okay, I understand that there'll be artists that become really popular, right? Just in general, like Yee, right? It's not
Yeah.
that I have a problem with Yee, it's that I have a problem with, so like, I have a problem with everyone editing double in the exact same way over and over again. And I think Yee is less problematic because it hasn't gone on for as long. But a good example would be like, what is a song that has been just abused? Okay, Gang. Gang by, what was it, Jack Boys? That song, like it was so
Yeah.
overused in
Oh.
2020 that it became a meme in and of itself. And it's kind of like, you know, a good like from my perspective, right? A song in the UK, it's like how to describe this? Future, Young Thug, Travis Scott, all these type of people, right? I didn't really hear them until I engaged with Instagram editing, right? And it's like, so I'm wondering, you know, all these other people in different countries where like stuff like this isn't as popular. It's like, why do you not hear music more specific to them or their experiences? Because like the reason I edit like R&B and stuff like that is because like my siblings and stuff, that's the stuff that they would play when I was like a kid. That's like the music I'm into. And I'm curious as to why, like, you know, all these different people from all across the world with really different experiences and cultures who somehow manage to fucking all edit Travis Scott. You know what I mean?
Travis
Yeah, the
Scott.
same exact thing.
Yeah, I mean, like it's international. It's an international community. But the thing, like with like mainstream music, I feel like internationally, even in countries that, you know, you don't really perceive as like even in non-Western countries, the popular songs there that are in English are just gonna be like the, you know, Spotify top charts 50 and stuff like that. So it's like things that are unique to their experience, I guess, would be, I mean, you don't really see a lot of songs edited that are in like a different language other than like English or like
Different
Japanese
language,
or
yeah.
something like that. Even like Korean stuff, it's just like, it's not that many. And I feel like that's why we hear a lot of the same things as well, because it's an international community, but in general we can, you know, like English is still like the most used, I guess, like language in our like community in general. And that's just, so when other people from even, you know, for example Indonesia or something like that, they'll be like looking at the community, you know, scrolling through posts and stuff, and everyone's like posting all these like cool English songs, and then they're like, oh yeah, I've heard that on the radio as well, and they'll just think that it's like a cool song, you know, and that's why they kind of do it. And yeah, I don't know, that's why I feel like even though they're from a different culture, they're still kind of almost like the way they're exposed to mainstream like Western music, it has like an effect on what you brought up.
I think it's more metas, right? Where, like, or just like trends, right? Where, like, why are trends a thing? Because a lot of people enjoy them and a lot of people can appreciate them, right? Where I feel like that kind of just falls into like the same reason why they would just make something with the same song, right? They enjoyed it a lot. They know other people will enjoy it a lot. So why not do it, right? It's like the same thing, like basically just how TikTok works, right? A trend pops off, someone who watches enjoy it, they make the same TikTok, other people enjoy it, just rinse and repeat, right? I feel like that's just trends, right? I feel like there's no, trends can be overdone, can be really fucking annoying, but they can also be really refreshing, right? Because like I've seen a couple edits where they've used the same song, but just completely different take on the song, right? Where that can be refreshing.
Yeah.
But
that's a good point.
Yeah, you know, it's really fucking annoying to just see the same edit twice, but from a different guy, right? That like just has like different shakes, right? Like you've already seen that. It's not interesting. So like I don't know. Yeah, I don't really see like a potential fix or a workaround to that. It's just kind of like how trends work, right?
Yeah,
And
I mean, I
people
guess
who
it's
set trends will usually, I don't know.
yeah, it's not a black and white problem. It's just like it's a bunch of things together. Oh, it's not like one. I don't think it's like there's one cause for it. And like you said with trends, you know,
that's true.
It's like even for like TikTok, like not even talking about editing, like just in general, TikTok trends are a thing. You know, it's like the same thing in other communities as well.
Okay, then I have a follow-up question to that, yeah? So it's not like the end of the world that people edit the same music.
Yeah.
But in the COD community, that does not happen at all. It is like it just does not happen. So why do you think it is different with anime?
I mean, I don't know much about the COD community, to be honest, but well, I kind of like the kind of like I don't know, not really stigma, but like just the kind of idea that I have in my head is that it just comes down to the type of people in the community.
I also think it's the quality standards between the two groups. Because I think in general there's a big quality difference between I want to say just game edits and anime edits. And there's like I've thought about this a bit, and there's a couple reasons, but I'd say one of the biggest is accessibility, right? To just more in-depth stuff, right? Because I don't know how many of you guys have done game edits. I know Kyoshia has. I kind of have, right? Nothing crazy. I spent like a year learning it, but the shit you can do with depth passes and normal passes and like all that shit it's so easy to go in depth with game editing and alter every single thing about it versus anime editing. Because what you have to do something similar in anime editing, it takes so fucking long.
That's true.
Years.
Like you have to mask
like
out
10
individual. Yeah, exactly. Which is like my original idea. Whenever I made my Tokyo Ghoul animation, was to just use Tokyo Ghoul and mask it out, but that was too much fucking work. So I just animated it myself, right? Like I think it is very, very hard to actually break down anime scenes, and I feel like that's why there's such a big skill difference between the game editing and the AMV community, right? Now, sure, fucking nutty ass AMV editors that do god work, and same with game editing, but there's just like the fact that you have that makes it a lot easier to do that. And that's also it kind of ties back to why you don't see songs getting copied as much, right? Because people can inject a lot more personality and individualness into their just recordings of their games, because they have so much, like they can iterate and take so many different effects and put it on different plots than you can in anime, right? Like there's so many different fucking styles of anime or games out there that look completely different, even if they've used the same footage, right? because you can just edit it so much. So I feel like that it almost incentivizes you to grow into your own style and use your own music and not use other people's that like you saw pop off.
I have two things to say about that. So like,
Yeah.
I think, you know, you talk about like, you know, you have different, you can customize your game, you know, you can import into 3D software, you can, you know, there are loads of different, you know, you can customize the CFG down to like, you know, very minute details, right? Which is really good. And that's part of the reason why they have such a diversity in like music choice and different stuff. But I think that's where like in anime, the anime part comes in, you know, because you know what you can do with like, I don't know, what you can do with Demon Slayer is very different than what you can do with like Toradora, you know what I mean? And it's kind of like your anime choice sort of acts as a proxy for like it's like it acts in sort of the same way as like your CFG in code editing, to me at least. And then second of all, how do you guys feel about like hazing and not necessarily bullying, but like how do you feel about like the way we treat new people and our peers in general?
I mean, it's a tough situation because I'm as it is now. There are a lot of different groups, even in our small niche as it is, right? You know, there's groups of people that necessarily evolve around, you know, a unit, or you know, just small communities like myself that I own. But at the end of the day, there aren't that many people that are new that actually connect with people that have been around for like a long time. And I think that's because either one, usually the people that are experienced are the people that are like declining them in groups, or two, they just necessarily, I would say, maybe have different like mindsets of the people that were like, you know, here before, because now it's like everybody just wants clout, you know. Some people just don't even want to edit just because it interests them. I mean, it may interest them as a hobby, but they don't necessarily want to, at least, or has that same aspiration as like a person that's been here longer than anybody else. So I would say the hazing situation part of it. I mean, yeah, people get called clones every day, bro. You know, but at the end of the day, like, yeah, it comes to the person themselves, to whether take it with a grain or, you know, just improve themselves. So.
True, I guess.
Because the reason I asked that is because when I was editing, not necessarily as much from anime editors, but especially COD. Like, I remember like not asking for help. It's like someone, so like a friend was helping me edit COD. He's a COD editor, and like he would scream at me, be like, "What the fuck you doing?" You know, insert whatever type of language, right? And it's like, you know, one, I don't really take it personally, because you know the internet is people shout at each other all the time, like random ridiculous shit. But also, I feel like because like I remember very distinctly arguing with him, being like, "Oh, bro, it's not that bad. Mind you, it was terrible." And he's like, "No, bro, this is shit. Like this sucks, right?" And it's like stuff like that. Like I don't know. Because the thing is, right, when you like in the code community, it's like you're checked every day. You know, if you post something that isn't good, you're gonna get blown up on the timeline, no matter who you are or what you do, right? And it's like, you know, in one sense, you know, it alienates people and can push people out, but in the same sense, it also like keeps the standards as high as they are, you know.
Yeah, I think that is a advantage when it comes to hazing, because it's like, you know, when you call somebody bad and you know it's their work that they spent on for like hours on end or days even, or even months, it kind of just makes them think, wow, like they really think, like, you know, I spent all this time and they just for them to call it bad, you know what I mean? But it also, you know, improves them to be like, okay, I bet he won't call my next edit bad either, though, you know. So it's like, it's, you know, it comes from that, you know, competitive sense, right? Like you said earlier.
I mean, I feel like it discourages them sometimes.
I mean, yeah, but at the end of the day, if it discouraged them now, then they probably wouldn't be here in the very short future. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think that's just people's way of motivation.
But I think in general, like, people should try to, especially like they're really good at it, is try to not kind of like, I feel like it turns people away from the community if like new people are not really, like, when you're new and you make, you know, what you want to see is like improvements, right? But it's not like, you know, for probably if you're brand new, like, you're probably not going to improve to a point where somebody will say that your edit's like actually good for a while. But you kind of just want someone who can like kind of gauge your improvements, kind of be just there to be like, yeah, okay, you did these things better than what you did before, instead of just being like, oh, okay, it's still shit, see you later, kind of thing, you know.
That's definitely true. I think that I think, you know, the approach you should take is a case by case basis. But, you know, just like your code community is on one end of the extreme, I feel like in my experience with Instagram editors is the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where people will come to you for opinions, and they will say verbatim, be honest with me, tell me how you really feel, etc., etc., right? And you know, you'll say to someone in the most charitable and nicest way possible how you feel if something is wrong, and there will still be this sort of like sense of you'll get like really angry or upset with you, and it's like, you know, at what point, because I feel like I understand that, you know, obviously being really toxic to people isn't good, but I also think on Instagram specifically there's like this veneer of false positivity when it comes to edits, where like you speak to people and they'll say, oh, yo, why did you, like, you speak to people and they'll be like, and they'll screen share and they'll be like, they'll like an edit without even watching it, or they'll like comment good job without even watching it, and it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah. I don't know. That thing itself though, I get what you're saying though, how it is. A lot of people just want people to kind of play the yes man part of it, you know, like, even though they would say, oh, give me your honest opinion, they still at the end of the day want you to like the edit, you know. But if they give you a wrong opinion that you didn't like, of course, like, anybody itself would at least be taken a certain way about it. But like I said, it depends on the editor themselves to either, you know, see, you know, from their perspective on if it's good or, you know, it's bad. So I think that's just their opinion to work on it.
Yeah, but like, everybody wants other people to like their stuff, you know. That's why we post, you know, our stuff so other people can see it. And it's like, you know, negative stuff isn't like nice. Obviously, it's not like I wasn't upset, you know. It's not like I wasn't upset like back like years ago when people would call my stuff shit. But it's kind of like, I don't know. It's, to me at least, because that's where, like, that's where I came from. I view it as like, as almost like necessary, I guess. But I understand what people have
I
different
think it's
opinions.
a certain degree of it
I
is
feel
necessary.
like if you are reaching out for ops or just opinions on your edit, to just like an individual or just like even in fucking general chat, you have an obligation to, like, I guess, like, take the criticism, negative or not. Like, you might have a bad experience, everyone calls it shit, but you asked for that, right? Like, we can't control everyone who's giving ops, right? I think the real issue is when people interject their opinions on something, and being really, really fucking harsh about it when literally nobody asked, right? I think that's where the only issue comes in. Like, I think, like, you can be fucking, like, rude, you can be fucking harsh, if that's your personality, and someone's asking you for ops. I feel like that's perfectly fine. But, yeah, if you're being a dickhead, and no one asked for your opinion, then, yeah, you kind of just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that definitely makes
You
a big
know?
difference.
Yeah. For sure, yeah. I wouldn't want somebody just pulling up and be like, yo, this shit was ass. I'd be like, what? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Like,
Yeah,
what?
that's like,
Who
I
are
don't
you?
know
What?
you, bro. Like, you just
Yeah, exactly.
exactly. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that happens a lot as well. Well, not a lot, but there's like some people that take it upon themselves to be like internet fucking crusaders and go around just like being like, you fucking suck to everyone. And I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's a bit weird, in my opinion.
I mean,
Well, what do you want to say?
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, nah. I was just gonna probably. I have a topic I wanted to discuss.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It's kind of something recent in the community.
Yep.
How is everybody's I guess overall general standpoint of AT5 right now? I know Kyoshia, right? You're still in the tournament, and T, I think
yeah.
you were in the qualifier phase, right?
I got hella busy and could not finish what I wanted
I
to
see,
do. Yeah. Tragic.
Well, did you keep up at least the different edits and stuff?
I mean, I'm cooking up some shit right now. I'm cooking up some gas.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to say that because I think round 2, right, or round 3.
Well, round 2 right now.
Yeah, round 2 is becoming to come to a close this weekend, and I just wanted to see everybody's kind of standpoints on it. People that got in, people that didn't get in, or just scoring in general.
ATK. I mean, fuck.
The concept is just really good. Like,
yeah.
It was like hella hype. Like, granted, I'm not in a lot of like tournaments and like community servers, so I don't know the average hype. But like,
right,
that shit was hype as fuck. Like, once everyone was like starting to edit, sending previews, sending ops, like that shit was pretty fucking hype. And just like hopping in a chat, not even related to like AT5, and see motherfuckers talk about it. Like,
right.
I really like what he's doing with that, just the whole format. Granted,
yeah, it's pretty cool. I also like it.
An AT competition, but yeah,
I think it's a fun thing to even just spectate.
Yeah, I think as someone that judged AT2 and 3, and now is participating in AT5. I like it's great that he's doing that for the community. And Apollo, as much as people meme Apollo, he's using his position in the community very well, compared to other people at his size.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's like, which is a really good thing that he's engaged in the community, with the influence he has, which is really nice. The AT5, well, with AT5 right now, the judging, and I think I said this after judging AT2, the sort of criteria by which we judge stuff and stuff is judged, I think is really, really inadequate, because the sort of 2 categories, and then they added one obviously after people complaining about the qualifiers. 2 categories out of 5 is not enough to sort of accurately, because you can never like 100% like accurately judge something, but it's really like, I think it's really lacking the way it is now. And funnily enough, after complaining to Apollo, he was like, nigga, make your own like criteria, right? After collaborating, and I did, and they didn't use it, so but generally it's a cool thing that's going on. I personally disagree with some of the judging that's happened so far, but overall it's actually a really great thing for the community.
Nah, I guess, okay, since you make pixels move and stuff, okay, let's talk about you, Teeth. I have a good question, kind of, I've seen just basically kind of just only the surface, right? Just things that you post on your Instagram and on YouTube and whatnot. But I kind of want to talk about how you, I guess, overall evolved into, I guess, your style as of today. Maybe, going from, I guess, digital art, graphics and stuff, to actually like making animation and just having the art essentially come to life. How was that? I guess one of your main goals to do.
I guess it's just been, honestly, my whole just evolution of just being a creative individual, right? Because I started off making AMVs. I did that for about 3 years. And then I kind of just stopped because I felt like I couldn't inject what I want, like I couldn't inject the emotions that I wanted to into my edits, because I felt limited just off the, what do you call it? The just AMVs as a whole. Like, I felt limited in the situation. So I took a break from AMVs as a whole, and I learned how to edit games, right? And I guess edited games, right? And I did that for a year. Didn't really post any of it, just learning shit. But it kind of, it made me realize that like I actually did really like AMVs, and that there was something that like just wasn't there for games, like the emotion, like right. A lot of my edits are very emotionally impactful, or I try to make them right. And it's hard to do that with game editing because you don't really see the faces, right? It's not handcrafted to be emotional. Sure, you can make it that way, but inherently animation has that more than games. So that kind of transitioned into like learning how 3D works through games, learning Cinema 4D, and then trying to 2D hand animate everything, and I'm still working on that. Shit's fucking hard. So I kind of found the happy medium of looking at cool splash arts from like League of Legends and all those kind of games, and like, what if I just put that shit in a 3D environment? So I kind of just learned how to animate still images, and I just put them in a 3D environment, and I feel like I found like a good medium between AMVs and like 3D, or like I guess what I learned from game editing, I could put that into AMVs. Now I don't think what I said about AMVs being limiting is true for everyone, but the shit I want to do is like I'd have to mask out fucking everything, and like I said, like I'd rather just animate at that point. That's kind of like the process of getting to my animations, is just wanting to be able to do more, I guess.
I have another question here. So like me personally, I want to move away from making anime edits, and that is, and I don't get me wrong, I love making AMVs, but I think that for what I want to do, I think I'm very limited, all right? And it's kind of like you were saying, in order to like portray emotion, you know, it's like really hard, and in order to like sort of portray what I want in a still creative way, kind of requires, I know, it feels very limiting in what you can do relative to the time put in and the skill required. It's kind of like you come at this weird impasse where, like, you know, I could mask this already existing show for like fucking 12 hours, and it may or may not look good, or I could learn like skills and make my own media from scratch. That's kind of how I feel at this point. And it's like, you know, I'm sure that in the future, I'm sure people felt like this, like, you know, when we started editing, you know, that, you know, there aren't enough tools available for them to do what they really want through this medium. And I'm sure it will get better, like it will get more convenient, a lot easier to do stuff like that. But I guess, you know, I think I'll always make AMVs, you know, I'm never gonna like quit completely, but it's kind of like, I feel like, for me at least, and for a lot of people, it seems that like other stuff like animation or 3D seems to be like the move, you know?
For sure, and those things I think are more like prone to like even like opportunities, like bigger opportunities even potentially. That if you get recognized for things like that, it's really good,
I agree. I feel like if it really depends on what you're editing for, right? Like if you're editing to just add music to anime, which is very, very dumbed down, right? Like I don't want to undermine that because that is still very cool. Like we all like that shit. If that's your goal, then yeah, like you can be happy doing this for however long, right? But if you're wanting to do more, then yeah, it's pretty hard to stay within the realm of just AMVs. Granted, I think in the near future it will be easier to do what something like I want to do, right? With AI coming out that like auto masks, right? Because like Rotobrush kind of does it, not fucking really. Like I think whenever a good AI comes out for just masking individual animation elements, I think AMVs will see a massive jump in quality and just everything.
Yeah, probably.
And even with that new what do you call it? That After Effects script, like the depth scanner, I think that has already done like a big boost because I've seen some people use that on like anime backgrounds and stuff. And sure, it's not 100% accurate, but it still gives you a somewhat workable depth pass, which is just off the rip really fucking nice to have. I've also thought about making just like a massive like Google Doc where people we just throw masked anime in and just put it in there as like a community thing. But that'll take a lot of work and a lot of people to actually make editing improve any significant amount. Like it's a possibility, but realistically, it's gonna have to be AI is gonna be the one to kind of really push AMVs to the next step.
Yep.
Yeah, that makes
I mean,
sense.
you guys say you know how like AMVs in general limit, you know, I guess I would say your creativity state of mind, right? Because you're not really prone to doing specifically what you want to do, and that's, you know, obviously that's okay when in animation and stuff. But it also comes to at least my thought process of like if everybody had, you know, a lot of these same at least kind of similar ideas to where they want to expand. I feel like it would be really cool if, like, you know, a group of editors would make like a short film, right? You know, just like a 5 minute short of just animating them our own, like, you know, characters in general. You know, having a good team and just making at least, you know, just a straight up animation themselves that they can prove that they worked on. I feel like it would be very beneficial to, you know, the community in general because it kind of links out to other, I guess, small niches in the community as well.
Yeah,
No,
and
I
that,
agree
that kind of
100%.
stuff.
Yep.
I've thought about like organizing something like that. Like right now, I don't have time to do that, but in the future, I definitely want to get like a handful of good editors to try to do something like never done before kind of thing. Because we have
Some
tools right
serious
now.
shit,
Like
yeah.
3D is so easy to get into, and I think a lot of editors are getting into it because of just the accessibility of it right now. Blender, completely free. Mixamo, which is Unreal Engine's 3D asset library, which is like 50,000 photo scanned realistic models and textures. It's all free. Like you can make a photoreal scene in Blender for free in 30 minutes. Like it's so easy to get into, and I think the more editors that get into it, I think 3D is going to be the next step outside of like AI. It's just everyone doing 3D stuff because it's really easy to get into right now. And I think
Yeah,
that'll
and I think that
boost
stuff is
everyone's skill.
more well received as well by just more people.
Yeah.
Like more people can appreciate it.
Because I mean, in a sense, it's more original than just any ordinary AMV, right?
Yeah,
Where like sure you can have god tier effects, but if you add a scene that no one has ever seen before, that already by itself is gonna have a lot of impact when you're seeing something completely 100% new.
Yep.
Because that's also a thing. Because AMVs have been around for 20 years, right? We've seen a lot of the scenes that people are using, and it's like it doesn't. It's very saturated market, right? Where you've seen a lot of the clips that, like, you rarely see new clips being used in the anime editing sphere. But yeah, 3D kind of just changes that.
Yeah, and I even like stuff like you guys know fish pie, fish pie. I don't know.
Yeah. Now manga stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
The what? Oh, wait.
Manga,
I thought you
like
said Among
manga
Us.
stuff, Oh my god.
What the fuck? Yeah. Like even his stuff, like it's really good. Like the things he's making, and like, not just the like the manga animations and stuff. Like even like the text and all that stuff, the backgrounds, everything he does is like pretty cool, and it's like to the quality of something that could even be like in an actual like TV show opening or some shit. Like it's like really good quality stuff, and like how, you know, the recent couple years, like the uprising of like VTubers and stuff, they got like they make music and they have like music videos, and I feel like his style kind of like really fits that kind of like application, I guess. And I've seen, you guys know Nanaki
Oh,
IB. Yeah, he's made some stuff for like VTubers, like Iron Mouse and stuff, like videos and like animation, like 2D animations and stuff. And it, like that stuff is really cool to see that he is able to do something really cool like that and have it like being like have a lot of people be able to like see and like experience it.
I think looking from from my perspective, that it seems to be that like the editing community, not to diminish all the work that has happened and still happens, right? It seems like in a really good way, a stepping stone to bigger things, you know? Because you see a lot of editors. Well, I've seen a lot of COD editors go from editing COD to literally being VFX artists, you know, and stuff like that. And it's like, you know, it can teach you how to describe. It's like what's that thing from Dragon Ball? It's like it's a world in and of itself that's removed from a bunch of stuff that will like hyper train you in how to do something, right? That no other community kind of does.
Yeah.
And it's like it acts as sort of like a way to sort of like propel you into like actual work and stuff in creative industries. I think it's really good at doing that, you know. That a lot of
Wait,
people
you
go
talking
for
about
that.
the time capsule thing?
Yeah, where you can train, you know.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's like, you know, I see a lot of people
Yeah,
go
I
from
think,
editing to like music videos or like 3D.
That's the thing when like, when you do get really good, it's like the problem is getting connections is the main problem, I guess. Making your work like known.
Well, for me at least, I got into school. I got into VFX school by showing the people anime edits. So like, I don't know. I think it can act as work in and of itself, you know, to sort of forward for like education. And I know like obviously a lot of education when it comes to creative media isn't like the best, but I think it can sort of, the work you make here can really, you'd be surprised that like, you know, the amount of skills that are transferable to other serious like stuff, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah, no, I think AMVs is very it's a very good foundation to learn other skills, because it teaches you almost all the foundations to branch off into anything, right? Where, like, say you just are learning Twixter, right? You learn how frame moves, and you learn like kind of, or you recognize why like there's maybe animated on 2 frames versus 3 frames, and like you kind of understand how like impact works in animation. So if you wanted to like go into animation, you already have more of a fundamental understanding if you actually like pay attention to it, like why certain shots are animated at different FPS, right? Or if you do like hella compositing, because that was me, right? I did a lot of compositing. It kind of teaches you like why certain things are in front of the other, or like how they make 2D and 3D work in perspective and make it look good, right? Like if you really pay attention to like while you're animating, instead of just throwing shakes on, and you actually dive deep into it, it builds so much fundamentals to just branch off into anywhere. Like really, like it's such a good, because it's such a mixed medium that you can just branch off into almost
and
medium.
Especially because of how, you know, high standards like stuff is in this community. It like you actually get pretty good at a lot of things just because of like how like the amazing thing is like it's all kind of self-taught, which is pretty cool. And you know, you like when you look at more serious editing stuff, like for example, if you're like a really good MoGraph editor in this community, you could, like, I swear you could probably get a job, like if you showed your stuff to the right people, like just straight up.
A lot of people actually have, a lot of MoGraph editors actually, like I know like a couple people that like do MoGraph for work, and they started editing anime, you know, doing MoGraph like related to the anime community. And it's like, even so, like in terms of like professional work, like you know, Marvel and big studios, obviously we're not nearly close to that at all. But in terms of like for example, being like a YouTube editing for a YouTuber, we are significantly overqualified. Like, you know, the people that get like memed on the most or shit on the most are like in the grand scheme of things, I think well, like our niche, even the people that, you know, people who like consider bad are like top like 0.5% of editors, you know what I mean? And it's like, you know, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it is. Like, it's just as you said, like, I guess the thing with YouTube editing for YouTube videos, there's like one extra thing for like us to learn, I guess. Even though we're like really overqualified in terms of like, you know, effects and how to like make things look a certain way. Not even like effects, like just how to like fucking, like, how do I explain this? I don't know, like format things, I guess. But like the thing that the extra thing that we have to learn is, for example, if they're like a YouTuber who's like based off, you know, their videos are like meant to be funny and stuff. You gotta know you gotta learn the timing of like cuts. You gotta learn the timing of sound effects, all that stuff. I guess that's like something that we don't have in terms of like compared to like an experienced YouTube editor. But yeah, that's like the main difference I see. But like definitely in terms of other things, you know, we are kind of like, as you said, very overqualified for it.
As we talk about different communities, though, right? There is several communities within, you know, just AMV editing in general, right? You know, whether that comes to being on different platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. I don't really go into the TikTok side, but I really want to get interested, you know, how UT, since you being in Trash, and they're mostly kind of based on YouTube. How is, you know, just the YouTube scene like in general, you know, just people doing different contests and stuff?
Honestly, I I don't know. I think most of the serious editing scene is on Instagram nowadays. I think a lot of the old gens still use YouTube. Like from like 2012, like they're primarily just on YouTube. I know there's some contests going on, but they're mostly like, I guess not really YouTube based contests, more Discord based contests, but just in the communities. I definitely think AMVs from YouTube to Instagram very, very differently, because I mean honestly they're just different mediums, right? Where old gen flourishes on YouTube, right? And new gen, or like the Instagram editors, well, they flourish on Instagram, because that's kind of like, Instagram's supposed to be like short, like under a minute, like supposed to pack as much like content as you can into that to get that wow factor. But with YouTube, you can really play on the stories, and you can play on like build-ups and emotions and a lot more of that. So it's kind of just, yeah, I'd say two different scenes, but both thriving.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's like TikTok is same thing as Instagram.
You say thriving, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, I don't know, maybe I'm just being like an old fuck. But like I think the idea of like TikTok edits being like what is considered edits and what will be edits like going forward is a scary prospect in my head. I don't know. I feel like as the more condensed, you know, the platforms get in terms of what is popular and stuff, the more we kind of lose. You know what I mean?
It depends, because the people that still appreciate it, the people that still appreciate the time and work that goes into it, they'll always be around, right? There's always going to be editors that can appreciate a good edit, right? I think what we might lose to TikTok is the, I guess, more or less the normie fan base, because they're just wanting anime content, not even really edits, just anime content. Because I'm sure you've all seen like on TikTok, like the fucking screenshot of a Twitter post with like some fucking Naruto versus like somebody like just beating the shit out of someone with like a caption over top. Those are the same kind of people that consume like loop content or just like short content on TikTok. I don't think the editing community will be divided at all by TikTok, because different demographics, right? And the people that do get into editing through TikTok will then explore different realms of editing, right? Because when you go on editing on like, if you learn from editing from like Instagram, right? You usually don't stay just on Instagram. You outreach, right? Like even if you're on Discord, you'll meet new people that edit on YouTube, right? And you'll start looking up shit on YouTube, all that kind of shit. I just think the normie, just the more casual viewers might go somewhere else.
Yeah, and I think there's also
guess that
people that
means-
can be kind of like a middle line for that, middle ground for that, where their stuff can appeal to both normies and, like, I don't know, like for example, yeah, this might not be the case actually, maybe, but you guys all, like, everyone knows Takechi, right?
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, of course. Like his stuff, I feel like
yeah.
if
Remember
he
names.
did his stuff in like in the like phone fucking resolution, like 1080 by 920, like, and he posted on TikTok, he would like get a pretty, like he'd get pretty decent amount of like you get a decent following on that, because like his stuff is like,
A lot of engagement. Yeah.
yeah. His stuff is really like,
Yeah, I
it's
can
really
see that.
satisfying.
Yeah.
It's short, it's satisfying, it's understandable to watch, because, you know, it's like everything is like simple but really well positioned and everything. It's just aesthetic. It's like really aesthetic and like satisfying to watch. And I think that something that's like just generally, when you look at it at a glance, is aesthetic, is like something that can do really well on something like that.
I guess while we're on, skill level in general, how people start off, we kind of already talked about, people in project files, I guess, getting other styles from other people based on that. But how do you feel about in terms of, I guess, IBs and getting inspiration from others?
So how to describe this? I think so. I get a lot of like IBs and stuff. You know, a lot of people like. And I think it's inspiration. We all take inspiration from everything all the time. Nothing is original. Nothing is 100% original out in the slightest. Like never. Like not once, right?
Correct.
But it's kind of like, you know, it's not like bad. Don't get me wrong. It's just not. It's not for me. I think, you know, the culture of IBing people and just basically like remaking the edit, but like worse and taking less time, it creates a lazy environment. That's all I really think about it. Like, I don't think they're bad people or whatever, or they should go out like shitting on them or whatever. I think it's a little bit funny, and that like at the end of the day, you're not really gonna improve if you just every time your fair edit post edit, you make the same edit again but slightly worse.
IB,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
What is your point on it, Blank or D?
I think I pretty much agree with Kyoshia actually, but yeah, obviously, you know, some people will be making IB. Honestly, I guess the thing is it's whether you post the edit or not, because I think a lot of people remake a lot of things, just like learn things technically, like learn the technicality side of doing something, and like they wouldn't like post what they did, but then, you know, if you do post it, it's gonna be like an IB or an RM. I don't know. It depends on whether the person who's made it, like what their intent was behind making it. Like if it was to just like, I don't know, just make something that like hopefully, you know, you get like some people coming in and be like, oh yeah, that's cool and stuff. It's very different to if you're making it even just for fun or like out of curiosity.
Yeah, I agree.
Or like, you know, sometimes you remake things to like test yourself, kind of just be like, yeah, can I do something of that quality?
Like, I don't get a lot of IBs, just in general, because I don't post, or it's like I don't IB anyone because I don't post. But I feel like it can be used as like a way to because like I've seen some of my homies like say like IB like their friends because they helped them out in the edit, right? Or like any of that shit. Like, but I also feel like for some editors, it's almost like a way to farm clout. Yeah, like if they're tagged in it or if they're looking for like story reshares, because like I've seen motherfuckers have like
Oh, true.
40 fucking
True.
like tags in that shit, like just maxed out to wazoo, like
Yeah.
and that doesn't feel like it's like Like, it
Yeah.
kind of just feels like clout farming at that point.
I mean, it's
when
like
you
if you're
have
just
that
tagging your
many people
homies, you know,
tagged.
if you're just tagging your
Yeah, like,
homies, that's all good, you know,
understandable,
that's for
but
fun.
If you're tagging like
You just like, I see
the
people
20
who,
biggest editors. You know,
yeah,
it's a bit, yeah.
Nah, the notice me hashtags, I
Oh,
know, bro. The
no.
notice me hashtags is crazy, bro. That'd be insane. But also, no, not even to mention that. It's just even people that regardless if they have clout or not, some people just don't even like tag the people that they ID. So like, what is your opinion on that?
Oh no. I don't. Okay. I used to. I don't care. I think. You know, before I think the idea of IBing people is a very like Instagram-y concept, you know. And like back when before I go onto Instagram, I didn't even know what that was. I was like, IB, what the fuck is that? Like, you know. Anyway, yeah. So I don't think it's that deep if someone does it and they don't mention you. I think the only time it gets into a bit weird territory is when you're like taking something verbatim, like one for one from someone else's edit, right? And you have a bigger platform than them and you don't mention it at all, is a bit, you know, weird. It's like if someone had like 40k followers and they sort like, I mean, like when I mean one-to-one, I mean literally one-to-one, right? Like, or like they,
Right.
you know what I mean? And the other person has like 1k. I feel like it's kind of a little bit of a dick move not to like at least have them, you know what I mean? But it's not necessary. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
yeah.
What about you, T?
That's kind of like, I don't know. I like it's like the same thing as, I guess, if you're like, it really is not that deep, but it's kind of like a gray like area, because like IB, there's not really like a line to where like something is considered IB and if something is considered just like I don't know, like a copy or something. Obviously if it's a one-to-one copy you can tell, but like if it's like heavy inspiration and stuff, you know, do you still call that IB? Or like is it, you know, people sometimes use like heavy IB and stuff. That's just, I don't know, it is a bit weird.
I feel like some people substitute that for like a remake, because I can't understand the appeal to remaking someone else's edit, right? If you really appreciated it and you really enjoyed it and you want to remake it just because you liked it that much and you want to learn kind of how they did it and get the general feel, like I can understand that, but I feel like some people use that as an IB when it should just be like a remake, you know?
Yeah, that's definitely.
Yeah.
I've seen that float around a bit.
And it's like the whole idea. The whole idea of like art in general,
so.
you know. Oh fuck. No, you go.
Go
You go.
ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Go.
Okay.
Wait, what?
Oh.
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right. The whole idea of like art in general is like, you know, it's always been this way, where you take something from someone else and make it incorporate it into your own thing or make it better. Like that's kind of like how art kind of evolved, like in general. So IB, like obviously, it's like, I think it's not really a bad thing to do if you do it like the right way. And by that I mean like pretty much if you do IB that's like not really improving upon it, or like not really changing it into like a different kind of like where people can view it differently, I guess, you know, your IB is kind of like not very, like there wasn't really much purpose to it other than just the technicalities of it. And that boils down to like what we consider as like remakes and stuff. Like if you take an IB and you see an IB in someone's edit and then you look at it and be like, this is pretty much just the same thing, but it's just in a different edit, you know? Like even though you got different music, different clips, different anime and stuff, it's still the exact same thing that you've done. And that's like something that's, you know, that has a little less, I guess, value to it. I don't know.
I think just the idea of IBing in general is that, one, it's kind of a dumb concept if you really think about it, because we're all inspired by everyone all the time.
Yeah.
You know? And two, it's kind of like, I think in an ideal world, like remaking stuff is cool. Obviously, like it's not bad, but I think there are some people And it's not like I don't say this to drag them or like to shit on them for no reason, but like there are some people that like have their entire like what they've been doing for like in some cases like more than a year plus is just remaking other people's stuff, and it's like at what point are you obviously we all edit for our own reasons, right? It's like, but at what point like do you I just I question why you just want to remake something over and over again rather than try and do your own thing.
True. I guess it's kind of,
Yeah.
if you're constantly remaking, it's a bit different. Yeah, but I mean, okay, we gotta wrap this up pretty soon, because we've been going for a while now. Any like last?
Yeah, man, I didn't, bro. Like, my skin probably peeled off, bro. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I probably like, I don't know. I'm getting boiled, but I think one last kind of thing I want to say, just to wrap everything up. What do you guys think the future of the community is gonna be like? Maybe I would say like 6 months.
I think there'll definitely be a lot more 3D. And I'm not just saying that just because I'm a fucking 3D fanboy, but I definitely think it's at a point where a lot of bigger editors are starting to incorporate 3D into their edits, and people are seeing that and they're wanting to learn how the fuck to do it. And I think when people realize how fucking easy it is to just get your foot in 3D and just do something with it, I think almost every edit will have some aspect of 3D, because that'll just kind of be, I guess almost the meta, because it's just, you can just add so much when you throw everything in 3D and do it, and it's not hard.
Right.
People just, it's just kind of like just a gateway that people have to pass through.
Definitely.
I agree with the 3D thing. I think another also thing, not to repeat T's point, so I think also after 2 Alive, because mixes specifically, so maps are kind of fading away, and it's kind of like mixes are the new thing now, and it's kind of like before mixes were exclusively for like teams, but now I mean, well, like what is it, like the Kendrick Lamar mix, there's a bunch of different mixes that are already in the works right now because of 2 Alive. So we're gonna see a lot more like collaboration from Instagram editors, which is a really good thing actually. And I think what else would happen? I think 3D and 3D.
Yeah, I mean, I guess another thing is
mixes, like probably the future.
How do we think this community can grow, or like how we can grow this community in terms of like the future and stuff?
I think we need to do bigger stuff. So we need to collaborate a lot more. Get a lot of like big editors that are committed to stuff just to make bigger projects, because it's more like they seem to be more engaging for people, for wider audiences, and two, I guess just like outreach with different stuff. So it's like it's kind of, so how to describe this, like Apollo, right, making the 2 Alive mix and stuff like that, and the tournaments is like, that's really cool that he's doing that, but why is he the only person of that size doing that? You know what I mean? All the other people with like between 20 and 200k should be doing stuff like that as well. They should be, because they have the money, because when you get to like when you get to 20, when you get to like 20, 30k, project files is not as pay hip is not as like a small thing anymore. So you can host contests. It's not like unfeasible, especially for like 100k. It's kind of like those people, I think, should really take the initiative with that platform to like do stuff, host tournaments, host contests, do challenges, all that type of stuff. That'd be really cool to see.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go into final words.
Yeah, final word. Any final words
from everybody?
What y'all want to say to people?
Learn more shit.
I'll give you the honor.
Go.
I'll give you the honor, Kyoshia.
Okay. Final words. I would say that like, my big thing is that anime. I like anime, and we should all like anime as much as I do, and that you should watch anime all the fucking time, and that there is so much out there. There's so many different genres of shows. There's so many different things that you can do. The same thing with music. I don't necessarily care about execution because it will just gradually get better with time. But my big thing that I will harp on the most is diversity of stuff going on, and that there's so many different ways and avenues we can like explore the medium that is editing anime, and that is a tragic. It's like it's an actual shame that it's like, you know, how homogenous it is. I think it would be really good if it was more diverse, but that's just how I feel about it.
All right.
Anybody? You, Teeth? I know you've been itching to say something.
Oh wait.
Nah, just experiment, learn more shit. Like, don't stay in your comfort zones because you're never gonna improve if you like just do the same shit over and over again. Just install random software, learn it, and then just throw that in the edit somewhere. That's like more diversity. Pretty much what Kyoshia said.
All right. It's pretty much watch more anime, learn more shit. Easy.
And yeah, man, get me out of this hot tub, bro. Like, goddamn. Alright.
Yo, we soaking for too long, bro.
Alright, yeah. I'll see you guys later as well.
Alright. See you.
It's like 5 a.m.
Yeah, it was nice talking to you guys.
Take it easy, boys.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Good chat.
One of my viewers, Kyoshia, he said, "Take a fucking shower, you stink." Now you can hear from me though, but you know, you live and you learn.